Well, according to Google, we're live. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Tim Patterson, Trade Show Guy. After a little late start, it's weird because my computer had a meltdown the last 8 or 10 minutes. I thought, something's going on here. The mouse is not working the way it's supposed to, blah, blah, blah. Let me just shut it off and it'll fire right back up. I should know better, right? But we're here. Everything's back on. It's trying to do 18 different things at once, and that's why it takes so long. And even though this is, a souped-up Apple laptop with, 16 gigabytes of RAM and all that stuff, it just... So, greetings. Tim Patterson, Trade Show Guy Exhibits in Salem. You can find us online at TradeshowGuyExhibits.com, TradeshowGuyBlog.com. You can get a free book, the Trade Show Success book at TradeshowSuccessBook.com. And if you'd like to get the Exhibit Buyer's Kit, that's TradeshowExhibitBuyersKit.com. And also sign up for all these ongoing webinars, TradeshowGuyWebinars.com. We had anticipated having a guest this morning, but I had a really busy week last week, and as did she, and she was on the road for 12 days. We decided, well, we'll postpone it. We're trying to do this next week. And I'll tell you more about that later. So what we're doing today is it's kind of inspired by a podcast I heard last week from Chris Ducker. He does a podcast called Youpreneur at youpreneur.fm, I think. I'd give him a shout out because I think he's very good. He's a Brit who's living in the Philippines, and he's got a business down there that hires, that employs, 100 people, 200 people, online marketing, podcasting, all sorts of fun stuff. Chris is a good guy. Very entertaining, and he's speaks all over the world. But he had a list like the top reasons why he likes being an entrepreneur. I thought, well, I could probably come up with something similar. The top 7 things I like being a project manager for trade shows and owner of TradeshowGuy Exhibits. So let's just explore this for a little bit. This will be kind of fun. What do I like about my job, basically? And I've had a lot of jobs in my life. Most of them I've liked. I spent, like I say, I've said this before, I spent a lot of time in radio, and I love those jobs. There were certain things about them that you didn't like as much, but I loved being on the air. I loved being behind the microphone. I started as a teenager, so playing rock and roll through the 80s, the late 70s, the 90s, and then kind of shifting gears to the production and news side, but nonetheless, I love being in those jobs. So there are things you can find about jobs that you like, and there are probably things that you don't like. So the number one thing I like being about owner of TradeshowGuy Exhibits is I'm my own boss. I've never been my own boss before. That's probably the best thing. Now there are, of course, downsides to being your own boss. If something goes wrong, you can't blame it on the other department over there and say, hey, you know what? They didn't do that very well. You're in charge, and so you take the full responsibility for everything. But it means you make your own schedule, all that sort of stuff, and so being your boss is great. Number 2, the industry continues to fascinate me. I will admit that when I first got into this industry, I knew nothing about it. This was 15 years ago this year. It's been 15 years. It was 2002 I got hired by a small company here in town. I knew nothing about trade shows. The company was called Interpretive Exhibits. They didn't do too many trade show booths. They did a few, but they they did a lot of other stuff, and I had to learn the industry. I'll tell you what, the most interesting and abrupt change was that in radio, the sales guy brings something in and says, hey, I got a new client. I need this tomorrow. And so you sit down and write 3 or 4 commercials and get it approved and produce them, and they'd be on the air the next day. In the trade show and more interpretive world, someone would come in and say, we've got this sale, and we're going to do this project, and it's about 6 months to a year away before we actually install this. So there's a few things that need to be done, but we're not going to hear from the client for a week or 2, and they've got meetings and traveling, and the pace was just excruciatingly slow for me. It doesn't seem that slow now because there is always a lot going on, especially when you have numerous projects going on. But when I first got in, I had to really make a mental adjustment. People took a long time to do things from my old, habits. Number 3, what I like about being owner and TradeshowGuy Exhibits and being a trade show project manager, I keep developing new skills and sharpening old ones. Skills like, sales skills, organization skills getting structure in your day, working with people. I've always loved working with people, regardless of what industry I've been in, and that's probably one of my favorite parts of it. In fact, that might show up there on my list. But learning new skills is always good. I've always been a lifelong learner. I know that. I try to instill that in my kids. I'm not sure how effective I am, but I had to discover that on my own, so I'm sure they will discover certain aspects of that on their own. But I love the idea of learning things, and I work with great partners that teach me things. I hire people to teach me things. I always learn things on my own anyway, so I keep developing new skills and sharpening old ones. That's number 3. Number 4, I love seeing the look on clients' faces when they first see their new exhibit. That's probably one of the coolest things. When you've spent weeks, months designing, finessing things, going back and forth with a graphic or an idea, this and that, colors of laminate samples, all this sort of stuff. And then you finally get a chance, and this happened actually 3 times last week. That's why I probably thought of this, is that I had 3 new booths coming to an end of a project, and we had clients come visit all 3 times. That's what made last week so busy. And all of them went, wow, this is great. This is awesome. This is fun. And one actually client made a comment to me and says, this is such a big step. This is great because the previous booth we had was such a train wreck. And so we're fixing train wrecks, and it's great to see. Last summer, we did a big project for a client locally, and the boss, the president, didn't see the thing when we set it up prior to the show. He didn't see it till he got to the show. And he gets there and he looks at it, and this was secondhand knowledge, but because I wasn't there at that particular moment when he walked in and saw it and said, that's sick. Younger guy, but he loved it, and that was just really fun. So that's it. I love seeing the look on clients' faces when they see their new exhibit and the reaction. Number 5, what I like about being a trade show project manager and owner of TradeshowGuy Exhibits. I get to help exhibitors move through their comfort zone and into a bigger and more effective experience. Now, that really is satisfying in a number of ways. Clients tend to have comfort zones. Everyone does. And so they get to a point where they think, you know what, we got a small 10 by 20, we need a 10 by 30 or an island or something, whatever. They're making a rather big step. And so it's difficult in the sense that they've got to change some assumptions about the way things are going on. They've got to understand that there's more that they're getting into. They're spending more money. They are investing more heavily in their marketing, and they have a lot of steps that happen with this. They maybe need to hire someone to set the booth up, which they didn't have to before. So they're moving out of their comfort zones. And having seen this happen so many times, it's great to be able to forewarn them and kind of walk them through. So, getting exhibitors to move through the comfort zone and into a bigger and more effective experience is one of the things I like about this business. Number 6, I have a great opportunity to connect with people I would have otherwise never met. Now, this is not only clients, but this is people inside the industry, and it's a great industry. Behind the scenes, all the companies that make things happen, from presenters that are hired by companies to go and sell products and give demonstrations and things like that. Great people there, great people that put exhibits together, build them, design them, and of course the clients. It's really fun to meet people all the time, and so and connect with them and build relationships as time goes on. And number 7, the 7 things I like about being a trade show project manager and owner of TradeshowGuy Exhibits is I have a front row seat to the changing technology and creative development, because everyone that I work with is really kind of on the cutting edge of all of that, whether it's a new trade show graphic substrate they're printing on for fabric, or whether it's a new printer they're doing, or new ways to create a light box and make that just, the technology behind LED lights, for instance, has come so far in the last 5 years. It's phenomenal. What we had 3 or 4 years ago is nothing compared to what is available today, and the prices have changed lower. And so having a front seat, all that is really interesting. All right, so I did want to give you some trade show tip before, I guess, a trade show tip before I break it up here for the day, and then the one good thing is coming up. So the tip, which is a reminder to me, and a good reminder to you, when you're doing a trade show, appearing at one, being there, doing a new project, which is a bigger thing, a trade show booth, have a checklist of everything that needs to happen. I have a mental checklist, and I know that it all happens, and it has to happen, and I write things down. but having it all in front of you in a checkbox format. Did I do this? When did it need to be done? What are the deadlines? All that sort of stuff. I think it's very, very important. For instance, a new booth, you've got the size of the booth, the date of the show. You need all this. Who's going to design it? When's it going to design? What functions you need? Meeting space, sampling space, demo station, storage. What about the graphics? What are the dimensions of the graphics? What are the dates that certain items are needed? Graphics in hand, graphics approved for production. Do you need rental furniture? Do you need to buy rental furniture? Do you need flooring? Do you need to have flooring made for you? Of course, then there's other things like electrical grid, ordering of show services, electricity, the shipping and logistics. There's a lot of things in the checkbox there. Dates that crates need to arrive at the advance warehouse if you're shipping to the advance warehouse. Dates for shipping direct to show. You need the shipping addresses, the return addresses, the bill of ladings, the shipping company confirmation, the information, then, of course, the I&D, installation and dismantle. Who's going to set the booth up if you're not? Is there going to be a contractor? Are you setting it up yourself? Is it scheduled? Is it paid for? How's the booth coming back? Where is it going to be stored when it comes back? There is a big, big checklist. And I think if you can create a checklist that applies specifically to you, you're going to be a lot more pleased when this whole thing is over. I think it just helps you kind of give yourself peace of mind knowing that you've got all the steps in front of you. And if you find it that your checklist actually doesn't have something you need to check off, then you just add that and make sure that next time around you do have that. All right. There's a lot of stuff that can slip through the cracks. And finally, the one good thing, it's an app. An app called Skyview app. I'll have a link to it in the show notes. It allows you to look at stars and constellations, planets, and other space objects, and allows you to know where they are when you're out at night. And you see the stars up there, you go, wow, I wonder what constellation that is. If you hold the app up there, it shows you exactly what's up there. I tend to use this. I've had this for a few years. I've used it in the summer mostly on warm summer nights. So here in Oregon, lots of rain and clouds and cold nights. I don't get out much to do that, but I was looking through all the apps on my phone. I thought, the Skyview app, that's right, that's cool app, and I've used it a lot over the years. It is one of the coolest star and night sky apps I've ever used. Frankly, I'm not sure if it's for iPhone, but I don't know if it goes for other platforms, Android, et cetera, but I will put a link to their website in there, so hopefully you can track it down. Hey, have yourself a great week. This is the Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee. I've got a coffee cup from Spirit Mountain, I think, here in Oregon. and it's always good coffee. Appreciate you joining me. Reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you.